Welcome back to Tale from the Vale. In the heart of the Whispering Valley lies the village of Ethel, a place bound by a legend as old as the mountains that cradle it. Every 100 years, on the night of the twin moons, a door materializes, not of wood or stone, but woven from moonlight and shadow. They call it the Centennial Door, and it is said to open only once, for one person, revealing a path to a world of untold wonders and eternal youth. For generations, the people of Ethel have prepared for its arrival. The most accomplished, the most virtuous, the bravest warriors and wisest scholars, all vie for the honor of being the chosen one. They train from birth, honing their skills, their minds, and their spirits, hoping to be worthy when the door appears. The selection process is a grand festival, a decade-long series of trials and ceremonies culminating in the final night. The air in Ethel hums with anticipation, a mix of sacred reverence and fierce competition. Everyone believes the door seeks greatness, a champion to represent their village. This century, the frontrunner was Kalen, a warrior whose skill with a blade was like poetry in motion. He was strong, honorable, and had the unwavering support of the village elders. His rival was Lyra, a scholar who could recite the village's entire history from memory and had uncovered ancient secrets lost to time. They were the pinnacle of Ethel's aspirations, the best of the best. The entire village held its breath, certain that one of them would be the one to step through the shimmering portal. As the twin moons, Alara and Cyrillus, reached their zenith in the night sky, their silvery light converged upon the ancient stone circle at the village center. A shimmering outline began to form, a soft hum vibrating through the ground. The air grew thick with a scent of night-blooming jasmine and damp earth. Slowly, the Centennial Door solidified. It was breathtaking, a swirling vortex of iridescent light, patterns of stardust and nebulae dancing within its frame. It was not a door to a place, but a door to a possibility. Kalen stepped forward, his hand on the hilt of his ceremonial sword, his posture radiating confidence. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes wide with intellectual curiosity and a lifetime of study. The villagers watched, silent and awestruck. The elders began the final chant, their voices weaving a tapestry of hope and history. This was the moment, the culmination of 100 years of waiting. But the door did not react to Kalen's presence. It remained impassive as Lyra approached, her hand outstretched. A murmur of confusion rippled through the crowd. The door, which was supposed to beckon its chosen, remained still, its lights swirling indifferently. The elders exchanged worried glances. Had they misinterpreted the signs? Was this century's appearance a failure? A sense of unease settled over the festival. The greatest among them were being ignored. Then, something unexpected happened. A small figure, overlooked and forgotten, moved from the edge of the crowd. It was Alara, not the moon, but a young girl named after it. She was an orphan, a quiet child who spent her days tending the village's forgotten gardens and talking to the stray animals. She wasn't a warrior or a scholar. She had no grand lineage or celebrated talent. In the village's hierarchy of greatness, she barely registered. She was simply Alara, kind, gentle, and often invisible. She wasn't trying to be chosen. She was drawn to the door not by ambition, but by a simple, pure curiosity. She had seen a small, frightened bird fly straight towards the swirling light and disappear into it. Worried for the creature, she had followed without a second thought, pushing her way through the stunned crowd. Her only intention was to help the little bird. As she neared the portal, a soft chime, like tiny crystal bells, echoed from within. The swirling colors of the door brightened, the light shifting to a warm, golden hue. It seemed to lean towards her, to welcome her. A single, luminous tendril of light snaked out from the doorway and gently coiled around her wrist, not with force, but like a friendly greeting. The crowd gasped. Kalen and Lyra stared in disbelief. The elders fell silent, their ancient chants forgotten. Alara paused, her heart thumping. She looked back at the faces of her village, a sea of shock and confusion. She saw Kalen's pride fall, replaced by bewilderment. She saw Lyra's scholarly certainty crumble. They had prepared for a test of strength, of intellect, of worthiness measured by human standards. They had never considered that the door might be looking for something else entirely. She looked down at her hand, where the light held her. It felt warm and comforting, like the first sunbeam after a long winter. The little bird she had followed chirped from within the portal, its song clear and unafraid. In that moment, Alara understood. The door wasn't a prize to be won. It wasn't a reward for the strongest or the smartest. It wasn't seeking a champion. The legend had been passed down for 1,000 years, but somewhere along the way, its meaning had been twisted. The villagers had turned it into a competition, a quest for glory. They focused on preparing a hero worthy of the door, but they never stopped to ask what the door itself was worthy of. Alara took a deep breath, her fear melting away, replaced by a strange sense of peace. She wasn't chosen for what she could do, but for who she was. She was the one person in the village who approached the door with no expectation of reward, no desire for fame or eternal life. She came to it with a pure heart, driven by a simple act of compassion for a tiny, insignificant creature. She was the only one who saw the door not as an opportunity, but as a wonder, and her only motive was kindness. The Centennial Door, it turned out, wasn't a gateway to a world of riches for the taking. It was a guardian. It opened not for the person who wanted to gain something from the world beyond, but for the person who would bring something good into it. It sought not a conqueror, but a caretaker, not a master, but a friend. With a final look at the stunned faces of her village, Alara smiled. It wasn't a triumphant smile, but a gentle one. She then turned and stepped through the shimmering threshold, not as a champion or a hero, but as a girl following a bird. The moment she passed through, the door pulsed with a brilliant, blinding light, then dissolved into 1,000 motes of stardust that drifted up to the twin moons before vanishing completely. Silence descended upon the stone circle. The door was gone for another 100 years, but it left behind more than just an empty space. It left a lesson. The villagers of Ethel stood frozen, reevaluating everything they thought they knew. The greatest warrior and the wisest scholar were not chosen. Instead, a quiet orphan girl, whose only notable trait was her boundless compassion, had been the one. From that day on, the village of Ethel changed. The grand trials were abandoned. The focus on competition and individual glory was replaced by a new ethos: community, empathy, and kindness. They taught their children not just how to fight or to study, but how to care for the world around them and for each other. They realized the legend was never about finding the one person worthy of leaving the village, but about reminding everyone who stayed behind what truly mattered. 100 years later, when the Centennial Door appeared again, the people of Ethel did not push forward a champion. They stood together, hand in hand, a community united in quiet reverence. And they waited to see which pure heart, which selfless soul among them, would be drawn to the light, ready to carry their newfound legacy into the world beyond. The real treasure of the Centennial Door was never what lay behind it. It was the wisdom it left behind. Thank you for joining us on this journey with Tale from the Veil. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more tales from the edge of reality. Until next time, keep questioning the stories you think you know.